Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I am Chris, joined by my brothers Adam.
Hello.
And Eric.
Hello.
We're back in the room once more to talk about video games, and in this week's episode, we're kind of doing a follow-up on our last week's episode, where we talked about how much graphics matter to us, or what we think about graphics in general when it comes to enjoying video games. And this is sort of a follow-up, but it's also based on some news that came out last week, which has sort of spawned this whole discussion. And in the last week, literally as soon as we dropped the Do the Graphics Matter episode, this like big story came out as soon as it dropped, and it's based on a report, I believe, that the 2013 game The Last of Us is going to be getting a remake, and that a few other games then that were pitched for sequels and stuff were not going to get their sequels. Or something to that effect. Like, I know Days Gone was one that was named alongside this report. That Days Gone 2 had a pitch, and that they turned down the pitch, but they have supposedly approved a Last of Us remake. And everyone on the internet had something to say about it. And so, but you know what? Those are all small fish. You don't want to hear what they have to say about it. You want to hear our take. You want to hear what we have to say.
Take.
What do the brothers have to say about a Last of Us remake? You know we've talked about The Last of Us. We played The Last of Us 2 as well. We know our shit. We did a fan casting of The Last of Us HBO series. What they should have done. We'll tell you what's going to happen. No, we're not joking. We are going to talk about it. So we're going to talk about that, and then it's also going to spawn a discussion on. We don't actually know how each other feel about this Last of Us remake. We haven't actually asked each other yet, so we're gonna find out who's on what side of that fence. Whether it's like that's a terrible idea, it's too early, or fuck yeah, give me Ellie in fuller HD. So we're gonna find out off each other, and then it's gonna spawn a discussion as to what other games we feel should be remade or that we would like to be remade, maybe instead or maybe as well as. But if you're listening to us on YouTube, be sure to jump into the comments, and at any point you can share your thoughts on The Last of Us remake and also any other games that you feel should be remade, whether it's as well as or instead of. If you enjoyed this, you can also give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and click the notification bell so you know when future episodes come out. And if you're listening to us on audio platforms, you can touch base with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take, to again let us know how you feel about this Last of Us remake and any remakes you would like to see in the future. So, without further ado, let's talk remakes. Before we talk about The Last of Us, very good friend of ours, Danny Cunningham, who was on an episode with us before, pointed something out to me. I thought it was a good thing to point out. I like to point it out as well. He said to me, he said to us, I'm saying to us, he said to me, you and then say to him, right. I will follow you. He listens to us on audio because he likes to cycle a lot and he listens to the audio episodes.
Right.
And he said, ever since you guys have gone onto YouTube, which is great, you do a lot of jokes that no one can see.
Yeah, I suppose,
it's like, oh yeah, and then they do this, and one of us will do a gesture, and then we all laugh, and it's like, oh great, leave me out, why don't you?
Well, like, there's a simple solution to that, right?
Right.
Take your eyes off the road and watch us on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Is your life really worth that safety?
Attach the phone to like a helmet, like a GoPro thing.
Yeah.
Put it in front of you. Look at the screen.
Yeah.
That's safety.
You can turn on your phone camera so you could actually see through the phone the road.
Well, the other thing
while watching the video.
Every time we make a physical gesture, we do like a radio play and we describe exactly what we're doing. No, but I thought it was a good consideration, and I gave a heads up then that, well, actually, we've recorded a few things, and we've done exactly that.
Oh yeah, no, we've done it a few times. Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about The Last of Us remake first of all. Then,
is
this 100% confirmed, or is it just a
Yeah, it kind of sounded like.
Seems to be,
From
right?
what I got from the report was that but I don't know if it was Ben themselves were pitching the idea of doing like a remake. I think they were pitching to do the remake of Last of Us or something like that,
Oh, really?
or doing something, or it could have been Uncharted actually. Maybe it was Drake's Fortune. I think it was Drake's Fortune doing a remake of Drake's Fortune, and then they were also pitching the Days Gone sequel, or at least someone was pitching a remake of some Naughty Dog game. I think what made people kind of disappointed was that Sony said no to the pitch, which is fair because maybe the pitch was bad.
Might have been, yeah, it might have been.
People see it as just like, oh yeah, no, Ben is just not given the opportunity to make. Well, it could have just been a really bad pitch. So you're not going to spend money on something that you don't think is going to do well.
Right.
But I think the bit that is annoying is that they weren't then given the project. It was handed to Naughty Dog to do a remake of.
And do Naughty Dog want to do a remake?
I don't know.
That's weird to me if that's actually happening. But it seems to be because everyone, everyone's gone on about it, reliable source, reported on it. And it wasn't just, oh, there's rumors, like the whole MGS remake thing. It wasn't just there's rumors. It was reportedly in development. Like that's the way it was sort of said. So Eric, what's your take first of all, on a Last of Us remake?
I think it's too soon, because I think is like we don't really need it at the moment,
right? Because
I'm like, apart from better graphics or maybe haptic feedback, I'm not 100% sure there is much more improvements you could make to it. Because again, it was out in 2013. Like, there's very few PS3 games that would benefit from being remade. Now, PS2 and PS1, yes, there is, but PS3, like, it take your shot. If Bethesda came out and went, or whatever the hell they called them, but if they came around and went, oh, we're going to remake Skyrim.
Right.
It's like, no.
I would buy it.
You would, right? You would buy it. Yeah.
But it's too soon. Like, there's nothing for it to benefit from that. Like, rather than just, no, give us Elder Scrolls 6. We've been waiting far too fucking long for Elder Scrolls 6. Just give that to us and stop remastering the game that you're constantly, well, now it's remaking it. Like, so, because this is out in 2013, it's a bit too kind of soon. Like, it's been remastered for PS4. It came with a PlayStation Plus collection for PS5. It's like, we have it up to date. It's a bit much. Like, I think it's too soon, especially with, like, because Days Gone ends on a cliffhanger. I played it's actually quite a good game. So I can imagine when people who've played Days Gone, especially when they played it when it came free on PlayStation Plus, they would have played it. They would have been like, oh, this is class. Fighting crap ton of hordes of zombies and shit while riding on a bike. It's class. Awesome. And then going, yeah, no, we won't make a sequel to it. I was like, but why? I want to know what's going on.
Right. And, I mean, you're pretty much playing as Daryl from The Walking Dead, right? That's essentially
more or less, yeah.
Character, right? Like, he feels like he's very much inspired by what if we take Daryl from The Walking Dead and you play as him in a zombie apocalypse, as opposed to the kind of gruff father figure or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, Adam, what's your take on this?
Well, I don't really mind whether it gets a remake or not. Like, it doesn't really bother me. But I don't quite get that. I've seen that point being brought around online. I think everyone is like that, where it's too soon.
Right.
But why is it too soon for this game?
As opposed to?
Demon's Souls.
Which was PS2, wasn't it?
No, that came out in 2009, 2010.
Right.
So that got a remake and no one said anything. By the time this comes out, right? So it was 10 years later, Demon's Souls gets a remake for PS5. Right. By the time this comes out,
it will be 10 years.
Either 10 or more.
Yeah.
But it's not okay for this game. Probably because it's so good to begin with. maybe that's the reason.
I know, yeah, because its graphics are already really good. If you go back and play, that's why I thought Demon's Souls was maybe late PS2. Its graphics are not good. Right? It doesn't have good graphics. So when you see it remade for PS5, you're like, holy shit!
The other thing about Demon's Souls that I would say is its draw is not the story. Its draw is just like the world and the creatures, and if you can make that look better, then great. I feel personally that there is nothing exciting about a Last of Us remake unless it's a reinterpretation. And I think it's definitely too soon for that.
Well, you see, that would be my only fear, is that it's because of the TV show coming out. Are they going to make a game now that fits more in line with the direction they were going in with 2? Because I don't know about you, but when we were talking about it, I felt 2 felt like a huge departure from 1, like almost like as if it was a different team and different writers.
Right,
yeah.
So and in some areas, definitely.
Could they be remaking 1 to kind of fit that a little bit better and then fit in with the show a bit more? In which case, yes, that would be shit. I wouldn't want that. But I kind of feel like it's not that. My thinking is that although the PS5 is almost like a PS4 on steroids,
right?
It's still new hardware. The way the SSD runs and the way you have to load in things and all that kind of stuff, games are taking longer and longer and longer and longer to make. Even though the hardware is getting better and they can get their game up and running on the systems quicker, games themselves are still getting really, really complicated. There's a lot of systems in them and stuff like that. Just look at how long Cyberpunk took to make, and look how long Red Dead 2 took to make, and etc. I have a feeling that they're like, okay, well, our main series at the moment is The Last of Us, and we need to figure out what we can do with this machine. So instead of building, we could make a new game and try figure it out at the same time, or we could try figure it out first, make a bit of money on it to help fund the next game. And I have a feeling that they're going down that road where it's like, well, we have The Last of Us made, so we don't have to worry about designs and voice acting and the story. We don't have to worry about all of that. All we have to do is just build that game specifically to take advantage of the PS5, which will then enhance our game engine, which will make it easier for us to make The Last of Us Part 3 going down the road. But in the meantime, we can make some money off of that too, which will help, because that's exactly what Bethesda did with Skyrim VR.
Yeah.
They were like wanting to play with VR, and they decided, well, we have Skyrim, so we might as well, use what we have, see can we play with this VR thing. So I feel like that's the reason it's being remade. That's the main reason we saw so many remasters during PS4. It wasn't developers being lazy and trying to, make extra cash. Well, they were trying to make extra cash on the side, but
of course they were,
a lot of it was, this architecture, PS4 and Xbox One versus the previous gen, it's very different. And it's taken so long to make games. So you're like releasing something in the meantime while you're also working on the main one to help fund it as well. And if you don't do that, you get things like DLC and in-game purchases, or even something as bad as, remember, Ground Zeroes? Ground Zeroes was released just so that they could help fund the rest of the game.
Which they never finished.
Which they never got to finish. But
Released
they were being a little
bit.
I feel like this kind of strategy probably helps a bit more, because there's going to be people who are going to buy it. There's going to be people who are going to be like, I've never played the original.
Yeah.
I am definitely going to, this will be the one to play.
Right, so I'm the sucker who is like,
You're giving out about it, but you're still going to buy it.
I'm in the middle road, yeah. I'm the problem. I'm literally the problem. If anyone thinks that remaking these games and reselling these things is an issue or something, or like, oh, you should vote with your wallet, I'm the issue. Because I would be like, it's way too soon to remake Skyrim. Absolutely no need. The gameplay is fine. However, if they remade it, buy it in a heartbeat. Absolutely pre-order that shit. If The Last of Us gets remade, of course I'm going to buy it. Are you kidding me? It's one of the best games that I've ever played. However, I do not think it's going to be a one-for-one remake. I really don't. And I do wonder why they feel a need to remake it. It plays fine. It's perfectly fine. I do think it's not old enough to warrant or it's not outdated in any way. In any way is it outdated. Like, do you think they'll just port in the voice lines that were already recorded?
Well, I'm hoping
because
they
I
do.
don't.
I'm hoping that
I'm hoping so.
that's the thing. I'm hoping it's because they want to figure out the hardware, and this is their method of doing it, and they're just selling it to make a bit extra because they can sell it for 40 quid rather than a full price.
Oh yeah, no,
right?
I know. Yeah.
And whereas, if it's a full, like, complete different remake altogether, like, the only thing I would want changed, if they're going to change anything, would be perhaps integrate the Left Behind through the story.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You could have those moments scattered throughout, and rather than it being a separate adventure, it's all part of the game. That would be the only thing where it's like, okay, that would make sense to change. But I don't see them completely remaking it. I think this is just going to be, what if we made The Last of Us on PS5?
If it's a 1-for-1 remake, I love it because I love that original game. But it would mean that, like, I have said that I found the gameplay in Part 2 more fun than the gameplay in Part 1. Not that I preferred Part 2 as a game overall, but I did find the combat scenarios that I had more options. And if they bring that to The Last of Us, then I'm like, great, now there's the best of both worlds. I have the better story and the better gameplay. Happy days. If that's the case, great. But it just seems weird. It's like that game is not, it's not old and it's not outdated. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
And this thing of, like, you could be absolutely right that it's remaking it to test out what to do on the new system. But why not do that with... Now, I know, The Last of Us plays a bit differently, but why not do that with Uncharted 1 or something?
Purely because I think they're wanting to do a Part 3 at some point. They're going to do a Last of Us Part 3. You might as well develop the game engine that's going to run that rather than doing an Uncharted. Now, they are supposed to be doing another Uncharted, supposedly.
Yeah. So some studio wanted to pitch an Uncharted 5 or something like that. I don't know I think that got turned down, though.
I'm not sure. I'll be interested to see what way that goes. But I don't see any other reason, because I think they'd be mad not to just go in, because if it's going to completely change the game, then you're just doing a new game, and you might as well do Part 3. I don't think it is that, though. I do think it's them testing the waters, and
what if they
reskin something in
reskin
the meantime?
What if they reskin the characters to look like Pedro Pascal?
I was about to say that. What if they brought
Bella Ramsey?
Well, there probably would be, like, you can imagine.
No, I don't mean as like a additional skin that you could put on. What if they actually make them look like them, and
Possibly.
they get Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey to voice the lines?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be just such a big middle finger to the actors, and
wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, they wouldn't do that, though.
Would they not?
They might reskin them. Yeah,
right.
They might decide to do that, but they're.
But then why would you do that? Because they look a certain way in Part 2. So that would be my counter to that. Like, some people have said that, oh my god, I think they're going to reskin him. It's like, well, why? Because if you're going to remake Part 1,
sure. No, I just see it as like
remake Part 2.
I would just see it like an Uncharted, where you could change the skins in your characters thing. I would see it like that. I wouldn't see them.
If it's optional,
yeah.
I'm saying if it's like, some people have said, oh, I bet you this is what they're going to do. Like, it won't be optional. They're going to reskin them to look like the TV show characters. I can't see them doing that, because then they're going to affect, like, surely if you're going to remake The Last of Us, your hope is that right now this remake and Part 2 are the definitive Last of Us games, right? Because if you're putting your time and resources into remaking a game, the idea is that unless you're doing something weird and meta, that it replaces it. So, like, nowadays, Demon's Souls, the remake, is obviously the one you would play over the original.
Yes.
Because it's the exact same game, but it's, but
I do think it's going to be that treatment. That's my thinking of it. It's going to be treated like Demon's Souls. Yeah.
I hope so. It's hard to know when it's like...
But I did find that interesting. I found that was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw the outrage over it, saying that it's too soon. That was the first thing that came to my mind was, what about Demon's Souls, though? And maybe it's just because Last of Us is just a different tier of a game. Like, a completely different... It's almost like when you see remakes of movies. Right? There's some films you just don't care if they got a remake, and others you're like, don't touch that. Right?
Yeah, it's like remake Point Break all you want.
But don't touch the Godfather like trilogy.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like that. It's like,
yeah.
What, you're gonna make it newer? Great.
It'd be like if they decided to remake The
better.
Hobbit, you wouldn't give a fuck. But if they decided to remake The Lord of the Rings, it would like.
Suddenly, I'm like, okay, now you've got me really skeptical.
Yeah. So there's a quality difference there then.
But I think that's why people feel.
The thing about remaking, if they remade Lord of the Rings, is that they'd probably change the actors. And you're like, oh, hold on now. Like at least with remaking The Last of Us, they can just get the same voice actors, or even just port the lines in. Like,
yeah. Yeah, I think it is, like, that's a good comparison. I think people feel that way. It's kind of like if someone's like, hey, there was a sequel pitch for a new Star Wars.
Yeah.
You're like, cool, right? But they turned it down in favor of a remake of the original. I think people would be like, I do not want that. I do not want you to touch the original. I would rather see a sequel or something like that, right? I think that's why people are so mad. The other thing is I've seen some people say like that they feel it's a little. And look, it's a business, guys. Okay, so of course everything they do is a little bit cash grabby. But I've heard people say that the announcement of it at all is very cash grabby. It's like, oh, now they're gonna do a show, now they're gonna remake the game, then they'll fucking release fucking anime and a manga or something alongside it, and it'll turn into this big fucking The Last of Us is in your face, hitting your head over the with a hammer all the time.
It's the Last of Us verse.
Like, like maybe just. The thing everyone likes about it is it's like a slow burn. Like so I've heard some people say that. I could see why they might be a bit annoyed about the possibility of it becoming
The Last of Us itself
thing.
was such a unique game. And I suppose it's like anything. Once it starts to become a larger collection of something, a larger universe, then it loses that special thing about it.
Yeah.
Like we see that with all kinds of franchises, and eventually they always become shite.
Well, you get a fatigue towards them.
Yeah.
Right. You get like another
Assassin's
one.
Creed is a prime example of that. Like it started off as such a
and
unique,
Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like such unique ideas. Even when they kind of revamped Call of Duty with COD 4, like, you know what I mean? It's new, fresh take on the first-person shooter. Assassin's Creed was such a new, fresh take on, teaching kids history. And then it just got to a point where it's just like, Jesus, now you're releasing like 2 of these and they're the same thing and you're not giving us anything new. Would you just stop? And then they went.
Yeah, so I think there's a slight fear of that, the whole franchising thing.
Possibly. But it's mad where people's like, obviously, because all we know is just there's a rumor that The Last of Us is being remade. It's not even confirmed, and everyone's like, fuck, what? It's just losing our minds. And
I feel like nothing's confirmed, even if something's confirmed, because it could get cancelled. Nothing is confirmed until you see that first trailer.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, we're told there's a God of War sequel coming. Until I see an actual trailer and a release date, there's no God of War sequel. I know there is, but there isn't one until we see that. And it's not coming this year. I've said it. I keep saying that. That is not coming this year, everyone. No way. Quote me on it. Or imagine God of War Remake.
well, right, yeah.
I think that's how people feel, though.
I know, but it's just so weird because the game is like so old now. It is old.
No, it's not old.
By the time that comes out, like, if they did like even when they were pitching like Drake's Fortune, like, I know there's a good bit of years between the two, but would you really say no to a remake
of Drake's Fortune?
Yeah,
I wouldn't say no to it, but I also, like, we're going to talk about games we want remade, and it's not one of them.
No, but mine isn't either. I mean, like normally when you get to remakes, I'm always thinking about like games that I have no access to anymore.
Right.
That I want to be
really
old.
old
Or unplayable, really, in terms of their functionality.
But see, I maybe it is down to the fact that, like, again, using Demon's Souls, like, Demon's Souls wasn't remastered that much. So therefore, there was this huge gap between when people would have played it. So remaking it does feel very, okay. But it's because The Last of Us was released for PS3, remastered on PS3, remastered on PS4,
and then remastered on PS3. It was remastered on PS4.
The remaster was brought out on
PS4,
and then there was also it was brought out on PS5.
No, well, it wasn't. It's just that you could play the PS4 version on PS5.
Right, but if you bought a
Right,
PS5 and you had PS Plus, you got it.
But either way, right? That remaster came out the following year. So by the time this remake comes around, it's still just as old as Demon's Souls. I mean, that remaster, all it did was it just took the game from sub 30 frames per second to a 60 frames per second. That's really all that remaster did.
But what I'm saying though is that Demon's Souls didn't have that remaster to PS4 to PS, so that people
just had
weren't.
an entire series nearly.
What? Yeah, but so does The Last of Us now. That's no.
Well, it's got one extra game that came out like many years later.
People are still able to play it easily, have access and play The Last of Us. That there is probably a realm of we already have it on PS5. Because when you have PlayStation Plus, most people have that.
Yeah.
So therefore, the remake that's probably what people are thinking, is that it's still so fresh in their minds because they can still play it so easily.
I'm just finding it interesting. Like, it's not, like I said, I don't really give a fuck whether it gets a remake or not. I don't care.
You're clearly quite passionate about it.
I just find it interesting that the pedestal that this game, it's so clear how much of a masterpiece that first game is, just due to the reaction that you don't see for other games.
Yeah,
that's kind of the point I'd be making. Because there's so many games that came out around that time that if they got a remake, you wouldn't hear anyone say anything.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think because it is such a beloved masterpiece of a game, and it really is, like, it's one of my favorite games ever. Yeah, like, I think if there was a game that came out around that time that you didn't give a fuck about, the reason you'd be excited about it was because you'd be like, well, maybe I'll give a fuck this time because it'll be better. Yeah. Whereas this one, you're like, yeah, great. Of course, I would love to see it look better, and I would love haptic feedback on the bow. Fantastic, and the clicker sounds coming through the controller. Yeah, it would be cool. Of course, it would be cool, but it would be just as cool in The Last of Us Part 3.
Heartbeat in the
but it would be just as cool in The Last of Us Part 3. It would. Yeah. So it's. But I get where you're coming from. Yeah, maybe it is a way of figuring out how The Last of Us Part 3 will work on this hardware.
Yeah.
But also, like, Naughty Dog are the top of their game.
I know, but like it's just they are top of their game, but I'm wondering if there was a lot of experimentation to try and get Last of Us Part 2 out, and although it did really, really well and received quite well, it also was received very poorly by many.
Yeah, but only for narrative.
Well, I mean, I wasn't too mad on the gameplay.
But I don't think anyone else was bashing the gameplay. I think they were just bashing, pun intended, the bashing.
But if it was yeah, I can just see Sony, just with the fact that they said no to the Days Gone pitch. They seem to be very cautious at the moment about what they decide to put money towards.
Do you think that could piss people off though? It's like, you're being really safe and we want to see something new and creative.
Possibly, but there's it's a weird time right now. They're not getting as many PS5s out as they were hoping. There's no kind of games coming out either. Once we get past all this pandemic-y shit, maybe they will become more creative and allow anything. But at this moment in time, things are really unpredictable, that they're probably just being a little bit more cautious about where they spend their money. So they could allow Naughty Dog to be any work they do on this Last of Us Remake is going to pour it over and make the third one better. Right. It's going to make the road to the third one quicker. So would you prefer Part 3 many, many years later, or get a remake and get Part 3 sooner?
I'd rather have the Mass Effect Legendary Edition right
now. No, that's just obviously.
I hear what you're saying.
Complete speculation on my part, but like they could.
No, I know. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
that's just what I imagine they're doing. Is just getting that game engine up and running.
I suppose the interesting thing is that when The Last of Us Part 2 was coming, and yes, it was a long time between that and Part 1, but the thing you had in between was the other series you were excited about, which was Uncharted, right? You had Uncharted 4 in between as a Naughty Dog game that kind of broke up the wait.
Yeah.
Now that they've ended Uncharted, you're right, there is no wait between Part 2 and Part 3, and if Part 3 takes that long to make, what happens in between? And that is an interesting point of view. It's like, what do you release in between? Because you can't release nothing, and maybe a subsection of the studio works on something else. Now, do you want to leave them on their own making a full game? Maybe not. So maybe doing a remake where they have all the groundwork there, and they just have to, figure out how to bring it over to a new system.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the way to go about it. So, like, from a strategy point of view, it probably does make a lot of sense. But I can see why there was kind of outrage over it. What I don't see is why people would feel so passionately about, well, if this comes out, I refuse to buy it, to kind of stick it to them.
But it's all right. Like, I mean, if you don't want to buy it, don't buy it.
Yeah,
but
no.
like, I mean, I did see a whole like, oh, Sony are so stupid. They're just pouring their money to. It's like, no, I mean, there's a very careful plan here, and it takes that same game engine can be used for part 3. It's actually going to speed up so much. It may even speed up an Uncharted release as well, because they could probably utilize some of that. Like the way game assets are going to load in because of the new SSD and things like that. And this SSD is something that you don't see on other consoles or on PC. So I imagine there's a bit of tinkering there to try to figure out how we're going to best utilize this to make the better game. So yeah, I think it kind of makes sense. It's unfortunate that it is The Last of Us, just in that kind of perceived idea. Like if they had another game that they could utilize that game engine for future games, but at the moment it's like, because they've finished every other series, The Last of Us is the only one that they're going to be continuing. They have kind of no choice. This is the only one they could do that with.
Right. Yeah. It's a shame that like we haven't yet got to the last Uncharted, and they've just announced they're remaking Uncharted 1 or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool, yeah, that's a good bit older. Yeah, that could look better. But again, it plays fine. It plays great. It doesn't look bad or anything, you know.
It plays okay. I mean, there are certain bits where it's like, okay, this could play a little better. Yeah.
Look, you can improve anything, you know. But here's the question I'll put to you before we move on to games that we would like to see remade. First of all, the question is, it's been brought to you. You can either yes or no the remake, and then if it's remade, this is kind of separate. If it's remade, would you buy it? So it's two separate things. Eric, would you yes or no the remake?
I'd probably say no.
Right. So you wouldn't greenlight it, but then it's out. Would you buy it?
I'm not pushed at the moment to buy it.
Oh, okay. Adam, same question.
So for The Last of Us?
Yeah, for The Last of Us. You're the one who gets to greenlight it, and then you transform back into yourself. You're the audience member. You might get to buy it.
Yes, I probably would greenlight it. And yes, I probably would buy it, just because fuck me, I need a game for the PS5.
Yeah, right. I would not greenlight it, but I would buy it. So that's what does that say about me? I don't know. I'm neutral. I can't make a choice. I don't fucking know. I mean, if it was there, of course I would. Why wouldn't I? But no, I wouldn't greenlight it when there's other things that I would rather. If I had that money and I'm like, oh, I could put it into something else, I would rather greenlight something else. So, with that being said,
I think if you had the money, you'd think differently.
Why?
Because I just think like you wouldn't take gambles on something that you're unsure if it's going to be a success versus something that you know it's going to be.
No, I would not take gambles. No, you're right. I would not take gambles. I don't think I would be taking gambles.
But when you think about like how games get pitched, right? It's literally a PowerPoint presentation. You have no idea what they're fucking going to do, and if it's going to be even good. I mean, even it's like pitching God of War 4 was stressful for them, and they really had to pitch hard in order to get, which is mad when you think about it. It's like, this is Kratos. He should be like the face of PlayStation. He's like PlayStation's fucking Master Chief.
Right.
You know, like, of course, why wouldn't you greenlight it? But
well, because they were going to do something so different with it, though, right?
No, it's not just it's not so much that. I think it's because it was different it got pitched. But their other game that they were working on, which was pitched as well, went down to shitter. That got cancelled. I can't remember the name of it now. It was supposed to be like a futuristic sci-fi
I
game.
remember them talking about that.
Yeah, and that got cancelled mid-production. The amount of games that Sony pour money into, and eventually they will get cancelled because they're not meeting the deadlines, it's not working out, the game's crashing, whatever, and they can't keep spending money on something they're not going to get return on, so they push the money somewhere else.
I'll tell you what will really piss off people, right? If this Last of Us remake does come to fruition.
What's that?
And let's say it is just a 1-for-1 remake, right? It's just better graphics, better lighting, better sound, all that stuff. But it is literally scene for scene, a perfect remake, and all the acting and everything. If the year it comes out, it gets all the Game of the Year awards. Now that'll really fuck people off.
Yeah. And it's like it's up against fucking like I don't know, God of War Ragnarok or
right. Yeah,
maybe the next GTA or something like that.
Yeah, or like the next Elder Scrolls or something or whatever. And it just wins every category. And you're like, and you'd be like, yeah, but no, in fairness to them, that is incredible lighting. And you're like, yeah, oh, come on. The acting, you're awarding the acting again?
Yeah.
That'd
Acting Award 2.0.
But anyway, so we'll see what happens with The Last of Us. That's what.
We're not moving on to another topic.
It's their only way.
It's their only way of what? He's found something.
To make another Last of Us, really, unless they decide to do a prequel or a side adventure. Yeah. It's the only way they definitely do it with Joel as the playable character.
You see now, internet. This is why you needed our take. Look at that. Adam has just found the answer. Yeah. If you want to play as Joel again, you'll buy it.
Yeah. If you want your Joel back,
maybe on the case it should say "Save Joel, buy me."
So in the case of remakes, then perhaps they should have just done part 2 # release the Joel cut.
Can you imagine what the news would be? Oh my god, the internet would just be like tearing itself apart if it was like straight away, and actually The Last of Us Part 2 is the most awarded game of all time now, I believe.
Yeah.
But imagine the announcement was The Last of Us Part 2 is getting remade for the not remastered, remade for the PS5. Oh my god. So there'd be some people going, yes, I hated it. And then there'd be other people going, no, fucking leave it alone. It was amazing. Fucking war. That would be way more war than, and plus there would be people going, that is so cash grabby. You've just won all the awards in the world and you're going to remake it.
Let's do that again.
Yeah, fuck it. Okay. So then moving on from The Last of Us, you're allowed to greenlight a remake of any game. What game or games would you love to see remade? And maybe there's certain aspects of that remake you would love to see. Eric, I see you nodding your head there, so I don't know if there's like something in particular you're like, yeah, I've been thinking about this for a while, but give it to me, man.
Fucking Skyrim.
Are you serious?
No, not serious.
Take your shots, folks.
It'll be fucking Infinity Blade in VR.
Yeah, oh fuck yeah, man. You know what? That would work very well in VR.
I'm not joking. This morning I was thinking, actually last night as well, I was thinking that would be what I'd greenlight, the Infinity Blade trilogy.
Really? Yeah. But not in VR?
For mobile or?
No, not for console.
Jesus. Okay, so it'd have to be an absolute remake then, yeah?
Oh yeah, well it's not a remaster, is it? It's a remake.
No, it'd be remake. So, I mean, every fight would still be a boss fight because that's how it's done in the game.
But like Demon Souls kind of.
Be very Demon Souls, yeah. Like that's even what I was thinking. I was thinking Demon Souls with the that graphics and shit. Yeah, every time you die, you have to start the game again, like Hades, like those rogue style games.
It would actually be very.
So what is Epic Games doing? What are they doing?
I don't know, because it would work. All you do now is you just do a 3D environment rather than to stand in one spot.
Yeah, and when you say a trilogy, do you mean like the trilogy gets released as one package, kind of like the Mass Effect, which is a remaster, or each game gets its own individual?
If this was like Mythical Land and we could do whatever we want, I think the whole thing is one package.
You could though, couldn't you? Because I think
the games aren't that long.
The games weren't that long because they're on mobile and they were focused on like burst sessions because you wouldn't be playing that often on your phone.
Right.
Like when you're on a tram or something heading to work, you could just quickly play a session. That's how it was designed, so you could actually put all three of them into one continuum.
Yeah. And it would be because I don't know what voice actors they had for the first game, but the whole game was like in Latin or something, or some kind of made up language for the first game. But now you could bring Troy Baker in.
Oh yeah, Troy was in
to do the lines. Because he was
yeah, that's true.
I forgot about that.
Troy
That'd be so funny if at a next Comic-Con, if Troy was there and you just went up with a fucking iPhone 4 saying, "Would you sign my game?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, he's so proud of all of his other roles, and and then you're like, my favorite role of you was in Infinity Blade, man. Oh my god, I can't believe they didn't include that on the Watch Mojo top 10 list. Like, I just can't fucking believe it.
It was only the second one, though, isn't it? Second and third?
Second and third, yeah. So you get them through the first one, right? But for in the second and third one, they established the main villain, right? Yeah. But only in the third one did they get John Noble do the voice. So you can get him to do the voice for the second one as well. Be the same character.
That was
an
unnecessary amount of money to spend on that game, wasn't it?
You could sprinkle things in and out of there, can't you? You could have, like, the John Noble villain, for example, could show up a little bit earlier, and you could tease him out a little bit more.
Yeah, you could tease him out. You can mention him or something like that. You could really start to build upon the lore, because I think they had the Epic Games made the Citadel game as well, where you get to run around the town.
That was the demo, I think, before the
demo,
game.
just to show off the
game engine. Yeah,
you could just fucking introduce that into the fucking game too.
Do you know there was an arcade version of Infinity Blade?
Wasn't that cancelled or something?
No, they did release one, but it was just like, a handful of them in specific arcades in the US. Right. It was almost like the dance mat style. So you have to step to dodge.
That's nuts.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like an actual arcade, an arcade machine like this. It's like,
oh my god.
Oh, I know. I was thinking of the the other one where it was top down.
Oh yeah, that one got cancelled.
That got cancelled.
No, they had Infinity Blade in an arcade.
But you used your whole body instead of your thumbs.
Yeah, you would
control it.
I think you'd swipe. I think there could be like a motion controller or something. I don't know how it worked, but like, yeah, you'd use your whole body.
Fucking hell. I wonder how many people listening to this have heard of or played Infinity Blade to be like, yes, Eric, yes, I would remake them as well.
Yeah, that's another thing. You can't play them anymore, so I think it would be a really good idea.
Yeah,
I think I have all three of those on my phone. The icons,
never lose that phone.
But you can't. No, but you can't. You can't download it. It's almost like PT. Like the icon is there.
Oh, it's gone off.
It's gone off the App Store, yeah, so you can't play them.
Oh shit, Eric, never uninstall it. Don't put too much shit on. Don't store shit on the icon. You don't have it. What do you have?
No, yeah, he doesn't have an iPhone. He can't play them.
It's all gone.
You can never play them again.
That's why he wants this remake.
That's why he wants a remake.
Make it. It's class.
That's so good. I thought you were joking at first. But now I'm like, actually, there's logistical reasons as to why someone who's a fan of it would want it remade, actually.
Like, it would, again, when you're comparing it to the likes of them, probably not as hard as Demon's Souls, but when you're comparing it to that, like, if you fucking get Blue Point Studio, who did a fantastic job with Demon's Souls Remake, get them to do this, it'd be fucking amazing.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're actually right. Like people loved Hades as well. That whole thing of going back to the start, like streamers would fucking love it. Like,
yeah,
really. Give Troy Baker a job.
I never thought of. Yeah, I never would have thought of that.
And I think it was
good chance.
I can't remember if the first one had it, but the second one definitely had multiplayer. So you could actually, your warrior, however good he gets, you could actually choose to play against other players.
I didn't know about that, but yeah, fucking bring that in. That'd be class.
Brilliant.
Which would be a bit like one of the Dark Souls has multiplayer like that.
Like they all have it, but it's a really annoying a multiplayer. It's like you could be running and you're about to fight a hard enemy, and then it's like you got invaded by this player. It's like, no, fuck off.
Yeah, because they can come in and either help you or they can just decide to fuck your game up, can't they?
Yeah, depending on how they come in. So I would probably, if they introduced the multiplayer with Infinity Blade, they kept it. I'd probably do more of a.
Well, the multiplayer, was designed. You choose it. It wasn't like.
I would do it. I would do it. Choose it, just so that if you're not wanting to have some guy come in and fucking annihilate you, because that's what always happens to me, I would have that you choose it, just so then you can separate the two and you can enjoy them separately.
Yeah.
Plus, you could have like nowadays with modern consoles as well, like and even if there's one thing things like pandemics teach you, that it's like, you know what, I'm going to utilize that online multiplayer that I haven't been using my whole life. It's a great way to play games with people if you can't actually meet up with them. Yeah. So having a multiplayer thing where it's like, if two people have the game, they can actually play through the adventure together and try help each other out when it's getting particularly difficult and someone doesn't want to start the whole thing again. That could be really cool.
Yeah, it could be a good idea. You could do a battle royale for
Epic Games is just sitting on a pile of gold.
Mine there. Yeah. Absolute gold mine. Guys, someone out there, kickstart this, greenlight it, Infinity Blade remake. Fuck it. I think Eric's right. I think if it was remade, it'd be great. I'd buy it. There you go. I've said it. Eric, but for some reason, I won't buy The Last of Us.
But you are going to. You said you would. Yeah.
I would, and I'd buy the Skyrim as well. Lads, remake anything that I've enjoyed, and I'll buy it again. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm a sucker.
About to buy I'm playing a remake of Final Fantasy 7 again.
Yeah, and I'm gonna buy. Yeah, I am gonna buy it again. You know what I was half thinking?
The same thing, just the doors are better.
I was actually half thinking of buying the actual physical PS5 version rather than just upgrading. I'm not gonna, because it's a bit mad. But because I was like, oh, you know what? I would just like to have it on my fucking shelf or something. I'm a sucker for this kind of shit. Anyway, Eric, is there anything else that you would?
Fucking Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I mean, we're all, I think, surely, I don't know, that one I feel is inevitable. I think that's a matter of time. That one. I don't even.
Konami...
Blade, that'll probably never happen. But
no, Infinity Blade will never happen.
Yeah. But I think MGS getting a remake is a matter of time. And yes, it is obviously going to be the one that's most exciting.
A couple of rumors about it, and there's rumors
Konami
about
sell
that.
The IP for it or something like that?
No, they didn't sell the IP, but I think there was talks of them kind of in collab with Sony.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Which would be hot.
Yeah. That would be pretty
cool. Yu-Gi-Oh game.
I think Konami, if I'm not mistaken, are looking to do I have a feeling at some point, maybe later this year or maybe early next year, they're gonna host their own event, their own showcase, kind of like Capcom have been doing or some other guys have been doing, and just kind of reignite themselves. They're gonna announce 3 projects all at once. Mm-hmm. And just everyone's gonna be like, fuck, Konami are back on the map, and they're gonna be the most talked about thing for a while. And it's gonna be a Silent Hill remake of either one or two, an MGS remake, and then a new Castlevania, because you don't want it to just be remakes. Even though Symphony of the Night would interest a lot of people, Castlevania as a series, you could make a brand new one that could be very, very exciting to people.
Especially considering they have the Netflix anime show that's they've done their 3rd seasons. They're probably going on to their 4th seasons. Therefore, they can make a new Castlevania set with maybe within that world. Because I think what they're planning to do with that show is actually bringing in all of their different products.
Oh yeah.
All together. They're creating almost a multiverse within that.
There's that anime. Cash grabbing again.
Yeah. So they could then do that Castlevania set within that, where actually you're going to different worlds and meeting different characters.
Yeah.
Do you mean other characters in Castlevania, or Solid Snake show?
I think they actually have a in the 3rd season. Phil Nye is in it. Just put that out there. And he is wanting to access this corridor of infiniteness or something. I can't remember the name. Corridor or something. And I think it actually does allow you to go to different worlds and stuff. And they actually are planning on bringing in their different products. So maybe they probably won't introduce.
You're saying Yu-Gi-Oh? Yugi is going to show up in Castlevania?
That would be fucking weird. The only one that I could see, now I don't know all of Konami's properties, but the one that I see being a pretty cool crossover would be Castlevania and Silent Hill. What the hell did you just say?
Pez.
Pez,
yeah. That would be awesome. Pez and Silent Hill. There's nothing. Yeah, I think
you're trying to play a soccer match and then just
in the fog.
Yeah, terrifying. I see if you're passing it or not.
I heard a rumor where and actually this makes no sense because I don't think Konami owned these people. Where it was like they were gonna introduce fucking Dante from Devil May Cry into Castlevania through this corridor thing.
How
But then
could
they
they do
could,
that?
like, if they could do a thing where they've talked to them and they're allowing them. Like, you look at,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's like, yeah, surely they don't have the rights to it. But even look at, you know, the DLC characters that show up in fighting games. Like Mortal Kombat 11 has characters that are not owned by Warner Brothers at all.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, Predator and stuff. Or they were Mortal Kombat 10. Or then look at like Tekken 7 and Noctis was a fucking DLC character. So that's crossover between Namco and Square Enix. So like, you know, maybe they've got friends in Capcom and they're talking about it. It's like, hey, if you let us use Dante, we'll let you use this. It's like, well, hold on, let's see the script and we'll approve it. Yeah, cool. Put Dante in. Great. Did you guys hear that is it the Prime Minister of Poland or somewhere like that? I can't remember where it is, but they've been made a fighting character in Tekken. I swear to God, look it up. I can't remember where it is though, and I don't want to get it wrong, but it's a real person. It's a politician of the. I thought it was Poland, but I could be wrong. And they've animated her, and there's a whole trailer about her, and she's just kicking the shit out of people.
I saw. I think I did see the trailer for Tekken, and I'm like, yeah, like there's loads. I think people react, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this character is. Maybe it's some famous character from one of the other Tekken games. Did not realize it was a real person.
I think it's a real person because I think that's why people were reacting because there's really no reason. It's not a returning character. It was like a new addition, but everyone was going crazy over it. So I think it is a new.
Adam's
look it up there,
research.
check
He's
it
got
out.
the research
Maybe
face on.
I don't even know how to like. What would I even be searching?
Tekken 7 Polish Prime Minister or something.
Or it's just new character. Tekken 7 new character.
I think that's. And if that's true, like that's nuts, like you know what I mean. So you could get away with it.
Yeah, Sobieska, is that it?
Right.
The Poland Prime Minister.
Right. I'm right. And is she real? Or is that just in universe? I hope it's not just in universe. I hope she's real.
It'd be really specific, wouldn't it?
It's like everyone's excited. Like, check out our new DLC character, the in-universe Prime Minister of Poland. I think she's real. Which is also weird.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I hope that's real. That's fantastic because that's even like that kind of reminds me of the guy Sucker Punch being the ambassadors for the island of Tsushima.
Tsushima, awesome.
But they're not even on the island.
But they've done so much for tourism just by making that game and how beautiful the landscape looks like.
I play. Yeah,
I want to go.
Remake Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
she's a fictional Polish Prime Minister.
Is she?
That sucks.
Is she
Because,
fictional?
like,
Some other property?
So fucking. That'd be weird. Like, why would you pick?
Wait, now is she definitely fictional, or are you just saying she must be?
In the Tekken fandom website, where did I see that? Sorry, I have to go back.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was playing that game again. I was playing the Legends mode, the Legends story mode, which is class. The fucking art department for that is amazing. And then I was playing with the story, and I was like, I want to go here because the trees here are unlike any trees I've ever seen. Like we are renowned in Ireland for being such a green country, but that's a fucking rainbow island. It's got every color. The goddamn fuck.
There we go. Yeah. Bandai just announced Tekken 7's new character, a DLC fighter called Lydia Sobieska, who is the fictional Prime Minister of Poland.
Oh man, I'm
that
so
sucks.
sorry. You really put out absolute bullshit information out there. News headline: the actual Prime Minister of Poland. Is it? I thought you because I know.
This maybe it's a bit like the Lara Croft thing. Remember, everyone thought Lara was a real person, and these were just games based off of her fictional adventures.
Yeah, I remember that actually, because I remember when I was younger, I thought she was real. I'm raging now. I don't know why everyone was so excited about it then. Who gives a shit? If she was real, it'd be great, because then it'd be like, what are the possibilities? Maybe someday we'll get to play as Michael D. Higgins fucking KO. KO and Yoshimitsu, like, that'd be fucking fantastic.
That's the thing with Tekken, doesn't it? Like, they do tend to make their characters sound realistic. They'll give you where they're from, what was their occupation.
Oh, they do, yeah. Like, I remember thinking Nina Williams was a real person at one point as well, or maybe just hoping, I don't know, but I I remember definitely.
Assassin from Dublin.
Yeah, County Dublin.
I mean, I mean, definitely, you could definitely imagine a fighting tournament with a Velociraptor with boxing gloves. Definitely super real.
Well, come on now. That is based on, okay, maybe they're not around now, but they were. Remember the Boxer Raptors that used to beat
Back 65 million years ago?
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. Now that was a gesture joke.
Now, Danny, if you're listening,
I rolled my eyes.
I rolled my eyes.
Okay, so I think we can all, Infinity Blade, that's a cool one, and we can all agree that we'd like an PS remake, and that's a matter of time. Adam, what would you greenlight for a remake? Or maybe it's multiple games, I don't know.
I'm selfish, so I just want there's a bunch of PC games I'd love to play.
Right. Yeah.
Like Battle for Middle-earth.
That is.
Yeah, it's getting a fan remake, but not an official one.
You want an official fucking crazy graphic remake?
Yeah. But I think there's a bunch like the whole thing about the Lord of the Rings games. I think the rights are a bit messed up because it was EA that used to make all the Lord of the Rings games.
Yeah.
And while Warner Brothers owns the rights to the Lord of the Rings property in terms of the films and things like that, so now Warner Brothers Games would be making them, and that's why you can't get Battle for Middle-earth or Battle for Middle-earth 2 anymore. Even though Battle for Middle-earth 2 was on Xbox 360, so it is even like you could play it on console, but you cannot get them anymore because they no longer have the rights to do them. WB Games. So there's a game that's kind of like it's a bit stranded, and I'd love to play that.
Yeah. Same at Lego Lord of the Rings.
Wait, who made that one?
I don't know who made it, but that is stranded. Well, TT Games, obviously, but
yeah,
I have it.
That's not the name of it, is it?
Or Traveler's Tales. What are they called?
I can't remember.
Anyway, they make all the Lego games, but that particular game, unless you have it, you can't get it. You can't buy it anywhere. It's not like they took it off shelves. You cannot buy it.
That's mental. Weird.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Whereas you can get The Hobbit.
Huh. That's weird. Because Lord of the Rings was fantastic.
I thought it was great. But anyway,
it's the best one out of them.
It's just one I wanted to try out there. It was great.
I think it's one of the only ones where actually, like, you know, they do the free map now with all their games where you run to your next. Right. It's one of the few ones where that really makes sense because you're just going on an adventure. From next station. Yeah. Anyway.
Definitely.
Well, I've seen the trailer recently to Age of Empires 4, and I was like, oh my god, it looks fucking good. I would love to see a remake of Age of Mythology.
Yes!
In that game engine.
Yes!
Yes. Fuck yeah. That'd be good.
Make it so. Age of Mythology.
For visual, just for those who are only listening, we're doing excited gestures.
You can hear that. Come on, fuck off, Eric. Age of Mythology, I love that game so much. It was my favorite. If we ever do an episode, spoiler alert, of favorite RTS games, Age of Mythology was my favorite.
That last mission was broken as fuck, wasn't it? It was like you could play the whole game, but the last... Yeah, needs a remake.
And they had Age of Mythology. There's an expansion, Age of Titans, that I never got to play.
That's right. Already cover out for that, but
yeah. But that one, like, is... I think you can get it on Steam, I think. But let's face it needs a remake. Well, it needs to be redone.
I need to see Arcantos looking his absolute fucking best, man. You know what I mean? I want to see Chiron and Ajax just fucking
sweat come off him.
Yeah, I want to do the Siege of Troy. Do you know what? All the Greek stuff was great. The fucking Norse and Egyptian shit, I couldn't give a fuck about in that game. So actually, in a remake, they could probably make that way more exciting because Norse mythology has become like at the forefront of pop culture, and Egyptian mythology, I think we could all do it a little bit more of. You know, no, we don't know an awful lot about.
Yeah, that was always my favorite. I always liked that one. That point was really cool. Yeah. Because you could set the plagues on your enemies and stuff like that.
That was cool. Yeah, that was cool.
I absolutely love just launching some meteors at people. Just if someone's annoying me,
if you throw another moon at me, I swear to fuck.
I'm gonna lose it. One of my favorite Iron Man lines. It's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, praying to the gods to get, you know, and then you choose the god to actually who you want to worship, and you get specific benefits such as hurling meteors at your enemy. Like That shit's awesome. That shit's so cool. You can only imagine how that would look with the nowadays engines.
Yeah. Oh, that'd
be great.
Yeah, and then build upon actual huge armies as well would be class, like doing the whole battalion system.
But I'd really love to see some of that stuff. Like, even if they didn't want to remake it, like those are types of games that, and like even the original Age of Empires, which I know have been remastered for Windows and stuff like that. But there's no reason those games couldn't be played on a tablet.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't understand why they're not released there.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And like, can you imagine, like, with modern engines though, like if they remade the likes of Age of Mythology or any of the Age of Empires, like, you know, with modern RTS games, you can zoom right in close and see like characters, and you can kind of get into the towns and into the little, you know, settlements that you've made and stuff. Like, all that stuff would just be fantastic. And then, like, because there was cutscenes,
and,
you know, they were fine, but they weren't great.
I mean, they were still top down, like, you know what I mean.
Nowadays, they could make amazing cutscenes, you know what I mean? And then it zooms out for the battle sequences and stuff. But they can make real close-up, like, really dramatize it. Because Age of Mythology, it had a real feeling of, like, those kind of Jason and the Argonauts kind of movies and stuff, you know, or Sinbad. Like, it was just fucking cool.
Yeah, and it was cool that there was kind of a tie-in with the 3 different pagan religions.
Yeah.
That they all kind of... There was a unified kind of thing at the end, which I suppose would be... I assume Ragnarok is what they were going for at the end. I can't really remember what the fuck they're doing.
It was I think it was Ragnarok. All they all had like a name for the apocalypse, I suppose.
Yes, yeah.
And they all feared the apocalypse, and then at the end you had the apocalypse. But I suppose it came at the hands of Kronos rather than whatever else. Wasn't it? It was like the villain.
No, it was
Kronos from hell, and
no, the villain was like some sort of cyclops creature who had a trident. Yeah. And he was releasing Poseidon, wasn't he?
No, it was Kronos. Kronos was this big giant. Yeah, it was definitely. Because Kronos had been like trapped in hell, you know, for by the gods because obviously he tried to eat them all, and then gluttonous bastard. And then this guy, he was trying to. He had a trident, but I don't think the trident was anything special.
Well, he took the trident from Atlantis, wasn't it?
And that's a song. Yeah, Arcantos is from Atlantis.
Yeah.
And that's what sunk Atlantis.
Yeah.
Or something.
Oh, yeah. Poseidon was a villain.
Mythologies, like.
Poseidon was a villain in it, though, wasn't he? He actually wanted to...
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Because I thought you could worship Poseidon, couldn't you?
That could be just fan fiction.
You were able to worship Poseidon. Why would you worship him if he's the villain?
No, it was that... So Arcantos, yes, Atlantis, Poseidon was their main deity. But there's a bit where you're trapped in the underworld and you're trying to escape. So you pray to Poseidon, but he doesn't answer your prayer. And then you have to pray to Zeus. And then he answers your prayer and he gives you the steps back up to the land of living. It's because Poseidon wants to... I think Poseidon actually likes Kronos, his father. And he wanted to overthrow Zeus. And he wanted to become king of the heavens. Or something like that.
That's fucking badass. Can you imagine retelling that? That'd be amazing. You have no idea how many times I've tried to think of a topic where we could end up talking about Age of Mythology on this podcast. And I'm so glad you just brought it up randomly, and now there's an opportunity to I fucking love that game.
It was.
I don't remember as much of the story as Eric does, I must say, but I just loved fucking playing the scenarios even.
Yeah, well, it was just so, like, I mean, because Age of Empires is such a awesome game. Like, down to, like, even the sound design and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like Age of Empires plus you could have a bunch of warriors that look like jackals from fucking was it the Scorpion King or Mummy 2?
Yeah.
Like
badass.
It's just it's so cool.
I actually read an article, I think it was the other day. I can't remember who wrote it, so annoying. But it was an interview with the kind of people behind those games. And in it, I was very excited by it. They had said they're working on, New Age of Empires, as you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they did say, we haven't forgotten about Age of Mythology. Right? Yes. I swear to God. They said, we know people really like that game. We also really like it. We haven't forgotten about it. And that's all I'll say for now.
Oh, stop.
I don't know if it means they're going to do like a long-awaited sequel, or if actually what you're saying, a remake might happen.
I would fucking...
I would buy a new...
Doesn't matter what way they decide to package that. But the one thing I would ask is, because they're all under the brand of Xbox Game Pass or Game Studios, Xbox Game Studios. I would love if they could bring it to the Xbox as well.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't want to have to fucking build or buy a new PC just to
Play
Age of Empires. Whereas with Xbox, there is keyboard and mouse support. So if it does still require it, just pick up a cheap Xbox and.
Oh, 100%. I would actually, if they were bringing out a new Age of Mythologies, and just even knowing that there's a good chance the next Elder Scrolls is going to be Xbox exclusive or whatever, I'd pick up an Xbox in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem.
I'd probably
as for PC, I probably wouldn't.
I'd probably get a better PC because this guy is on his last legs, I think. And also, I'd like to be able to, because I have Total War Shogun 2, and I'd like to play that with really good graphics. So therefore, I probably would actually get.
Eric, you should with the time you have, you should build your own PC.
Definitely do that. Yeah.
Look up how it's done. Like, people who do that, not only have they got such pride in it, but they always make a machine that's way better than what they could have bought.
Absolutely.
And they make it look sick, man.
Yeah, but I want to be one of those PC Master Race people.
No.
Then there's no point getting a PC, Eric. Honestly.
Yeah.
Let's
join the race or not. Become part of the Super Racer. I know a kid who's 10 years old who built his own PC.
Oh, Pagan, but she built hers and she had absolutely no.
That makes sense really.
No, she'll say it herself. She had absolutely no clue about anything to do with computing. At all. No idea. And yes, it was the most.
That's what I was trying to say about a
she's
10-year-old.
You don't even have to be 10 to not know. I mean, some 10-year-olds.
I know that. I'm just saying. What I'm saying is that you'd be well able. That's what I'm trying to say.
Of course you would.
Both trying to say.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
10-year-old could do it. Yeah, even Pagan could.
Yeah, it's just my thing is just like I wouldn't want to spend more money on another machine that I already have.
You have an Xbox.
You have an Xbox.
I have an Xbox,
it works for you, and you have keyboard and mouse if you need to use that. So
yeah.
Well, I would probably get an Xbox only because I do like those. Like for RTS games, I always thought they worked really well on a desktop or on a laptop because of the whole kind of click and select.
Yep.
But in general, I wouldn't use a gaming PC for much else because I hate gaming on PCs. I hate it.
Yeah.
I would even get the likes of like XCOM 2 and stuff on PC. Yeah. Because that would definitely be way better than on console.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really see many RTSs really anymore, do you? I mean, they're
no.
Like, remember Dawn of War?
Yeah.
Would you remake that?
Remake all your RTSs?
Basically, yeah. That entire just generation
era
of RTS games, just remake them all, please.
There's a Star Wars one as well where you fight the Empire.
Empire War.
Empire War, yeah.
Empire War, yeah. That's another good one.
Yeah.
That had a great mode of it's cinematic mode they had. So it was like you click on that and then the camera just goes down and follows it and starts playing the Star Wars music and just like starts. That was class.
Red Alert 2. Bruh.
And still use live actors.
Oh yeah. If they were to remake Red Alert 2, I want them essentially just to up-res it, keep it so that they're little drawings of people, and make it so obvious that there's a green screen behind their actors. Just really play into it. Yeah, take the piss with it. I want
all the cutscenes to look just like the Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I always felt like the early Command and Conquer games were very satirical. Like they were almost like Grand Theft Auto, but in a military simulation game.
Didn't they was it Bill Curry was the communist leader in Red Alert? Or
I can't remember.
I'm saying his name wrong or something, but
I don't know the names of anyone in it.
I don't know. Was Josh Holloway in one of them?
Josh Holloway was in Command and Conquer 3.
Right.
He was a member of Nod, so he was in the other
that's
one.
That's the Tiberian Wars kind of side of things.
Yeah.
I think I always preferred the Red Alert stuff.
Yeah, Red Alert.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd remake, Adam?
Yeah. Well, I might as well say something that's definitely going to be would be on console. Dino Crisis.
Hey.
Okay.
What is that? I don't think I've ever played Dino Crisis. I know of it.
I played a little bit of it. But it was, and I was terrified. I was really scared at the beginning of it. So I can only imagine with the Ori engine that they have now, I would remove the kind of arcadey side of things, like the points and the timers and things like that, and just make a survival horror dinosaur game, how could you say no to that?
Do you know what? Right. So other than Metal Gear Solid, of all the games we've talked about so far, I think that's the one that's most likely to get a remake.
Yeah.
More than any of the RTSs and more than Infinity Blade. I think Dino Crisis actually has a real chance of being remade.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played that at all.
No. But it will, I think, especially with the new RE engine. Holy shit. Fucking dinosaurs?
Yeah, because I remember when when it was on PS1, there was always that thing of like, I don't know if you could remember PS1 games, there was never a sky in games. It was just black.
No.
Yeah.
Just blackness, because they couldn't render a sky. I mean, it came much later, but in those games, it was, or at that era, it was pretty much you couldn't see a couple of feet in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why horror did really, really well back then, and the Dino Crisis games did that, where it was very like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Where it was the fixed camera angle. You couldn't really see around the corner. You walk around the corner, there's a giant velociraptor, and it's like Jurassic Park style velociraptors, not the little tiny birds. And
it was all Jurassic Park style dinosaurs.
Yeah, and the lighting and everything was like you could barely see a couple of feet in front of you. Like it was very like Resi 2 in how it was presented. So I can only imagine what that would be like with the current RE engine. That would be terrifying.
I think at some point Dino Crisis will get a remake, but not before Resi 4, which I nearly thought got announced at the showcase when they were like world premiere and they started talking about Resi 4, and I was like, no, stop, shut the front fucking door, holy shit. And I was like, this is the best thing I've seen. And then it was the VR version, which I was like, okay, you know what, still cool, people are going to enjoy that, that's great. Not what I wanted, but okay. It does mean, though, that you start looking at Resi 4 again. The remake is coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time. For me, I was always campaigning for the Final Fantasy VII remake, right? My whole life. Literally my whole life.
And now there's no more.
Now I haven't. So now I don't know anything else remade. That's the end of the episode. No, I'm joking. But there's two other games of like that era of gaming that I would love to be remade, mainly so that I can experience them or play them on a console, and in a way that I think I think they could be heightened, and I think that they would do well as remakes, and they're certainly old enough to get remakes because they're of that era, right? One of them is Final Fantasy VI, which I've played a little bit of on mobile. I have enjoyed kind of what I've played, but I am just I'm like, this could actually be like great. Like this world could be really fully realized, and this whole thing of like I've not gotten nearly far enough, and like the combat, I don't enjoy the combat in it, to be honest. I really don't. It's fine, but it's not as good as the combat in 7. It's certainly not as good as the combat in 10, and in more recent Final Fantasy, like the combat is incredible. Like, can you imagine playing that game with like a much more modern, more fluid kind of combat system? But people have always said, like I've always said 7 is like the best game I've ever played. People have always said within the Final Fantasy games that like it comes down to 7 or 6, and a lot of people who've kind of played them all go, no, 6 is the best. 7 is the best for people who don't play them, and 6 is the best for people who do, right?
Yeah,
to play them all. Yeah. And it comes up all the time. People talk about how Kefka is the best villain, and I would love to experience like that story, in like a more fully realized way, and I would love to see how they could pull all that off. It would probably be a series, and maybe it's one worth doing after the whole 7 remake series is done with another team. But
I just don't understand where Square Enix is coming from. Like, why prolong Final Fantasy? Like, why keep making a new entry every single time? Like, I know there's the whole thing with like, you want to be creative and stuff, but it doesn't mean you can't be creative even with the remakes. They have so many games stranded or outdated that they could breathe new life into.
Yeah. Well, 6
that seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, and I think there's a real strong possibility that it could happen down the line. I really do. I think that's the one. Yeah. Like after 7, that's the one most likely to get another remake or to get a remake over any of the other games. It doesn't even have a remaster. Like you can now play 9, 10, 10-2, and 8. 11, 7. Like from 7 onwards, you can play them all on a modern console in some way. And even like from 7 to 9, you've got those cheat codes. So you've got those cheat modes, I should say, where you can just, if the battle system's not working for you or it's too outdated, you can skip that and just experience the story, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just as enjoyable, to be honest. But there's no version of 6 where you can do that. So you can't experience that story without playing the game. And if you're just not into that game, or if it's just too old for you, you're not going to play it. And so I think a remake could be fantastic. And I'd love to experience, like, is it really better than my favorite game of all time? Is it really? Is that story way better?
Well, I don't think that will ever happen, though, will it? Like,
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, people who say 6 is better than 7 is probably because they experienced the first.
It could be. It could be.
And I'd say similar for yourself. I think nothing will surpass 7.
Are you saying I'm biased? Yes.
No, but it's just your fucking first love. Like, it's like, same with myself in Metal Gear.
Right.
I think the vast majority of people say 3 is the best. Whereas I think 1 is the best, but because it's the one that introduced me to the.
Yeah, they're entitled to be wrong, like.
Yeah, that's okay. 1 is.
Well, 3 is really good.
No,
3 is
talking about.
3 is technically the better game.
Amazing. 3 is amazing, but no one's talking about remaking 3, right? Everyone's talking about remaking 1.
I wouldn't say no to a 3 remake, though. Holy fuck.
I wouldn't say no to an MGS. I wouldn't say no to an MGS2 remake.
Well, the trilogy for a quadrilogy remake would be fucking amazing.
It would, yeah, and
actually, 4 remake would be really good.
5 remake, like totally rehaul. That would be great.
Right, well, they just don't have to do it really. Just forget about it.
Yeah,
maybe just do 1 to 4. It'd be fine. You have a beginning, you have a middle, you have an end.
Yeah, perfect. And then the other game that I would remake, and it's of that era, is Chrono Trigger. Another similar kind of like hugely praised RPG game. I think on modern loading systems and like with that SSD, for example, on the PlayStation, the skipping between times could be fucking amazing. Could be so good. But that's another one that people have said, no, it's actually like the best game ever made. And it's like, I've played, again, a little bit of it on a mobile device, but there's no modern console you can play it on. And it's another one that Nobuo Uematsu did the score of, so it's another one of those amazing fantasy music scores. It's supposed to have a great cast of characters, lots of twists and turns, and some of the stuff that you do in certain time zones, when you like return to another time period, it has had an effect on it. And they could really play with that in modern systems with more like choices and branches and stuff, where you actually like say you have a choice of like either save this person, save the king, or save the whatever, right? I don't know what happens. But say if you do it, that when you then travel into the future, that had like long-term effects that has actually like affected the future or something like that. But they could make a fantastic game with that premise, I think. I'd love to play it.
It's also like a butterfly effect-y thing, but I just
yeah.
Like just I was watching a bit of someone play through Until Dawn, and do you ever like at the beginning of that where it's like trying to drill into your head that like the choices you make, the changes you do, it will affect the story.
Right.
Just as long as it doesn't have that like fucking.
Oh no, yeah, I don't like hammer you over the head with it, and then
because that didn't happen.
Like, it doesn't really, it doesn't really
that doesn't.
No, I wouldn't do that, but I just mean that is like an additional thing, not as a main thing. Like, I really is just recreate the story of the original Chrono Trigger, and basically what's all the fuss about? But I imagine if that got announced, that's another one of those projects that everyone would go, whoa, holy shit. People who have played it have been kind of looking for it.
Huge interest in it, because even if people haven't played it, like myself, I haven't played it, but you're familiar with the name. It's almost like, remember when Shenmue 3 was announced?
Right, yeah.
It was like
a big deal.
You're like, Shenmue 3? That means there was 2 others. I gotta go check them out. It's like...
Yeah. Did you see any of the footage of Shenmue 3?
I didn't bother then.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious. Oh, if you're out there listening, check out. I think I've mentioned this guy a few times, but he highlights all the worst parts of games. And that's Video Game Donkey. Go check out Video Game Donkey Shenmue 3, and you won't need to buy that game. It's hilarious. But people were waiting. Apparently, some people were waiting like 10 years for that or something. Like it was like a long-awaited sequel, and then it was not good.
I can't wait to see people's reaction when Half-Life 3 comes out, because I think people are still waiting for that.
Oh, that would really excite people.
People would probably give up their children just to get Half-Life 3.
Wow. So I suppose I just love those kind of RPG games, but I do feel like they're kind of the ones of that area are trapped on like really old systems or just on your phone, and I think it could be great.
You can get Chrono Trigger on your phone?
Oh yeah, I do have it on my phone. I've played a little bit of it. But again, it's like if I game on my phone, like I'm not traveling anywhere. You know, we're all in a pandemic, so the only time I would game on my phone is maybe if I'm like in bed, because I do like to hear the sounds and stuff. I'm not going to game on it in the sitting room while, you know, Ash is watching the telly or something, or, you know, and I can't, you know, I could cast it up to the big screen and play it on that or something, but, you know, it's not as quick as just throwing something on. If it was on a console, I'd absolutely pour hours into it.
Oh, it's on Apple TV.
So there you go. We're actually here to advertise where to play Chrono Trigger, everyone.
The first review on that, I just look at the reviews.
Yeah.
First review, there's one rating, 5 stars.
Yeah.
What a game. That's it.
Chrono Trigger.
That's all you need.
What a game. No, but see, there's another
review is from 5 years from now.
What put me on it is there's a crowd I watch, Resonant Arc. They do fantastic in-depth or reviews of stuff, and they go deep into like the lore of like RPG games and everything. They've covered like all the Final Fantasies. And like they've done great like video essays on Final Fantasy 7, and they've pointed out shit where I'm like, yes, that's exactly how I feel. Yes, 100%. Right? So I'm like, so I kind of like these guys. I like the way they look at stuff.
Yeah, you like to watch things that like agree with you.
Yeah. Welcome to the echo chamber. And so, but one of the guys on it who talks so highly about FF7 and FF6 and those kind of said like Chrono Trigger is his all-time favorite game, and I'm like, now I feel like I need to experience it. But I'd love to like if they remade it.
That era of gaming.
Yeah.
What was so cool about it was that not everyone had their little gem that they experienced, and not everyone experienced the same games. Not like today. Today it's like, oh, you should check out things. Like, okay, and then it's like you got a million places that you could try out these games, like new ones.
The Last of Us.
And everyone can play it. Whereas
let's go back
then it was like, I mean, Chrono Trigger, unless you were advertised about it or you knew about it or whatever, or maybe you just picked it up, chances are the amount of people that would have experienced it was quite low in comparison to what they would do with a modern Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, definitely. So those are the games that we would love to see remade. Not necessarily instead of, maybe as well as, and in some cases maybe instead of The Last of Us. And also then our takes on The Last of Us Remake, if it is happening, our own little insights into why it might be happening, how it might be happening, and also if we would buy it if it came out. I am the worst kind of person. Don't remake that. Take my money. We'd love to hear what you all think. So please, if you're watching us on YouTube, jump into the comments. Let us know how you feel about the possibility of a Last of Us remake. And then also, what other games would you love to see remade? And what other remakes have you heard of that you'd be excited about? Maybe there's ones you've heard of that we haven't. You could let us know about them. Throw them our way. If this is on audio platforms, you could touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take. We would love to hear from you. You can also do us a favor by following us wherever you're listening to us. So maybe if you're on YouTube, give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and click the notification bell so you know when future episodes come out. We have discussions every single week. Really long ones like this. So thank you for listening. We'll be back to talk to you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Fun note, that bye-bye is Ellie.
Yes, it is.
Ellie from The Last of Us. So we actually love The Last of Us. So yeah, go ahead, remake it.
Yeah.
I know, it's bye-bye, dude. Yeah, it's that
Bye-bye, dude. Shows the magazine out. Love it.